How's everybody doing today? I hope you're all well. Welcome to another MLOps Masterclass. As stated, today is starting from scratch with a secure foundation. The reason why this came up is we want to talk about basically LLMs and some other things that you can do with JFrog ML. But without further ado, let's just do a quick introduction, and then we'll go ahead and say what's going on. So I'm Bill Manning. I've been with JFrog for about 8 years now. I'm the senior solution architect for the ML team, and I'm very happy to also be joined once again by my buddy Guy here. Guy.
Hey everyone, thanks Bill, and welcome everyone. My name is Guy. I lead the product at JFrog ML. JFrog ML was previously Quack, a startup that was acquired by JFrog in July 24th. That's almost a year from now. I've had a chance of working in large companies and small companies, and I've been kind of dabbling with LLMs since 2021. So I've seen this field grow, and I love building tools and solutions for you guys to build on this. Bill?
Thank you so much, guys. So just to let you know, this is part of our ongoing series of educating people about how we are doing ML here at JFrog. So if you want to go ahead and check out some of our previous sessions, we did an introduction to JFrog ML in 2024. We had one about MLOps and the JFrog platform. We've also discussed things uniting traditional software supply chains with ML development. We have another one on securing ML development in the age of DeepSeek. This one was actually super fun. Another thing that we've done is last time we talked about experiment checking done right. Well, today we're going to take an approach, and we're going to do a bunch of actually some really good hands-on as part of this also, as we delve deeper into things around the way that ML and JFrog ML actually leverages the JFrog platform and show you how to use it for things like LLMs and how you can download, make sure they're secure, and also to deploy them into JFrog ML for testing. So the topics we're going to talk about today is basically foundation models. I know also referred to as LLMs, but for some people, we're just going to describe it that way. We're going to talk about security problems that arise as part of this. We're going to talk about security for ML that we have. I want to do some brief overviews. We actually have larger discussions of that in the other sessions. We're going to talk a little bit about the Frog ML SDK towards the end, and we're also going to talk about how using foundation models. Now, this isn't in complete order. There is going to be some other things that are part of this, but just kind of give you an idea what's going on. So let's talk about the first part, right? We all know the numbers. We know that, at JFrog, we used to say, and we still say, that every company is a software company. And now we're also saying every company is an ML company. And when you look at it now, everybody I talk to, and Guy, the same thing. I mean, I deal with our customers on a face-to-face basis a lot. And, it's amazing the multitudes of companies that are now delving into the ML space. It's become more apparent. Most of the applications these days have some sort of ML component aligned with it. And saying that, we all know the things that go into, doing ML, right? If you're here talking about ML, like I said, we have previous sessions that delve deeper into it. You need things like, you have a model repository for externalized sources, or using JFrog Artifactory as your model registry itself. We also know that you need, dependencies, right, to write the code that actually works with these ML models. And, most of the time it's Python. It can be, also be Conda, for, things like that. You can use Poetry as part of Python and all that for those. And, once again, JFrog actually goes ahead and you can actually go, cache those dependencies, and also using our JFrog security, make sure they're safe and secure. In addition, you need some sort of fine-tuning and training infrastructure to support it. You need some sort of inference infrastructure to do that. These are all things that are provided as part of the JFrog ML platform. You need some sort of model monitoring for things like drift, and we supply that too, and we've actually covered that in previous sessions. We're going to touch a little bit about it upon it today. And then also too, you need some way to manage the life cycle of these models. One of the key components I always laugh at to this day is that most people don't know where to store the models. Number one, I hear NFS, S3, multiple different places. On top of that, I always hear things like versioning is a nightmare. How do you have some sort of level of accountability? And these are things that the JFrog platform brings, especially with ML and the JFrog ML product, because it leverages all the key components that JFrog, the platform, was built for. And now we're treating it the same way. And the thing is that knowing this, let's progress forward and see what's the next steps, right? A foundation model, right? We understand what they are. These are things that we use, like LLMs that we use that are pre-trained, model that can be adapted and fine-tuned. And then, of course, you're going to go ahead and pump some data into it, or there's some sort of a prompt, or however you do it. Maybe pull in some things like your wikis and all that to kind of supercharge it so it's more aligned to you. But we know that this is one of the main crusts of having some sort of interaction model, especially with some sort of prompt. Guy, anything you want to add in there, or?
No, I think let's go on, and I'll deep dive later on.
Sure. So we all know the way things work, and if you don't, here's a little, education. You have some sort of data, right? Some things that you've accumulated over time, right? Whatever it is, whatever market you're in, whether it could be computer vision, whether it could be customer service, it could be whatever. And then you take that and you find some sort of model that aligns with the things that you're trying to do. And then you take that data and you train it, and you want to do something with it, right? You do an adaptation of it, so this way you have some sort of output. And the output in this case can be a number of different things, right? You're not just relegated to one sort of use case. I mean, we sentiment analysis, object recognition. We actually have a really cool one that we do in turn, for another demonstration that I give, where it's like frog, not frog, right? Where we actually do this live and we show people. It can be information extraction. These are great, to have some sort of interactive wiki. We actually do it as part of what we do when we use our integration of our product called Package Catalog, which you'll read about today. We'll discuss some about today, and also to curation, which is our rule set and policies around stopping, potentially threatening or malicious third-party, either transitive dependencies or models from coming in to your organization. And the thing is that we use that for Copilot, so this way a developer can go ahead and query the JFrog platform on things like libraries or LLMs or things like that, just to make sure that, number one, they're safe and compliant with the organization. Right? It's a nice, easy way to do this. So now, understanding these basic objectives, one of the things we're going to talk about today is how do you download one of these, use it securely, make it reproducible, and ensure you have the best quality of experience utilizing it. So we all know the different various sources. And Guy, if you want to talk about this, because I think this would be something that we're going to be talking about very soon in more detail.
Yeah, I think just remember that a lot of the models you're using from OpenAI and from Google and from not Meta, but Google and OpenAI are models that you get as an API, as opposed to models from Hugging Face, for example, or some from NVIDIA or Meta that provide you some open source models that you can tweak for yourself, you can run for yourself. And I think in this webinar, we'll focus on these models that you can run yourself. And in later on webinars, we'll also talk about the combination between models as an API or the external models that you have and the ones that you run open source.
Excellent. And so for today's experience, what we're doing, we're going to talk about Hugging Face, right? So Hugging Face, being the largest open source repository of models that are out there, we're going to concentrate on that because actually at JFrog for our Artifactory products, we have a number of different repositories, from a machine learning repository for your custom models, the ability to also, if you're a NVIDIA user and you're using NIMS, we have a NIMS repository, and we have actually done demonstrations on that before. We can pull in models and data sets from NVIDIA, but we have a Hugging Face repository, and we're going to talk about that in detail. So when we talk about Hugging Face, one of my favorite statistics is this, is that when we start looking at things, like Hugging Face, back in March 2024, there was only about 500,000 models that were actually stored inside of that. That's a pretty substantial amount when you think about it. But just a year later, we are at 1.9 million models. That's incredible. Like when you think about just the sheer amount of models that have been produced of all different types. I mean, when you go look at the model catalog these days inside of Hugging Face, and you do a search on it, actually, I can just bring it up right. I have it right here. If we just go into models, it's the sheer vast number of categories and classifications, and you name it, from multi-modal to like computer vision, natural language processing. You name it, it's an insane amount. And saying that, how do you keep a tab on it? How do you make sure that the things that you're looking at and you're using are safe, secure, and compliant? Well, the thing is that, initially when Hugging Face started looking at the security offerings and looking at the security behind all the models that they were ingesting and hosting inside of Hugging Face, they identified 4,900 models as malicious. Well, just so everybody's aware, JFrog is a CNA, right? So we're actually a CV numbering authority. So we have a huge, vast research team. And we decided that since we've already been laying the groundwork for a couple of years to start using a platform for ML development, that we'd actually take an investigation into these models. And we decided to scan all the models. Yes, it sounds like a daunting task, but our product was definitely up for the challenge. And when we did, we actually only detected about 400 models. Now, this was at a time when there was, don't get me wrong, there was substantially less models inside of it, and it's constantly growing. I think we're at 2.2 million models now. Think about it. We went from 1.9 to 2.2. That's insane within a little over a month. And the thing is that this showed that actually with our product and our detection, because we were taking it from, we actually have a very massive approach when it comes to things like third-party transitive dependencies, right? The dependencies use Python, NPM, Docker images, all that kind of stuff. And we took that and we modified it, so this way it would be able to do these scanning to models. And we found out that there was a 96.4% false positive rate. That is absolutely insane. Guy, you have anything you want to add on to this, or?
I think that you need to remember that models are a very new field. So CVEs in maybe traditional Python packages are quite more common, let's say, or maybe C++ packages. But the thing is that we constantly have even new file formats. So we have H5 and we have TensorFlow and we have safe tensors and we have GGUF now. And I'm not sure there's going to be an infinite amount of file formats, but this whole field is still new and there's a lot of knowledge that is being accumulated right now in this field, and a lot of it in the research team in JFrog.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, right? And how do you protect yourself against that? The potential threats. Now, think about it. It's just standard software development, like as stated. You can look at things like SolarWinds or Log4j. These are definitive things that have happened over time. Those are just one of many. And the thing is that even in this world of ML, when we also started looking at it more, we realized that people really weren't paying attention too often. To whether or not they were actually using, insecure, malicious models or anything with potential threat. Here's an example. If you look here, this actual the issue that is actually being raised here for this potential library still had almost 3 million downloads. If you think about it, that's pretty insane. The fact is that nobody was really paying attention. So how do you ensure it, and how do you have it in certain a safe way? So when we went and did this, we actually released a report on the fact that we were looking at models, and we had all this information around Hugging Face and potential threats. That when we started looking at them, that when actually Hugging Face took notice, and when Hugging Face took notice, we actually have a partnership with them now, which is fantastic. So now if you go into any model, here's my favorite one, by the way. It's PickleScan Gordon Ramsay 2. Yes, that's a ridiculous name for a model. But if we go in here and I look at the actual file itself, you can now see that JFrog is actually listed as the top researcher here for this. And if you click in here, you can actually go to our research page where we've actually gone ahead and detailed the reason why this is malicious. And by the way, guys, if you want to go ahead and look for yourself, just go to research.jfrog.com. And from here, you can go in and see model threats and also see a lot of the most awesome research work that we're doing in terms of trying to protect the software that's out there in the universe right now. Anything else you'd like to add, Guy? I want to say Guy because my friend is Guy and I have to call him Guy, and your name is Guy.
Not French.
I know. It's always a habit. I got to break.
Let's move on and see how this integrates with the development lifecycle.
Absolutely. So remember too, also too, our platform will go ahead and help you with all the other things that can be part of your ML development. So I'm not going to spend too much time on here, but I want you to be aware that we're also helping, make sure that, your Python Conda packages, if you're using a base level Docker image or an OCI image for any respect, you have that too. We also have infrastructure as code and analysis that we can do. And of course, the Hugging Face repository itself. And the thing is that in the open source world, we all know the scary numbers. I always call this the scary slide, right? We know this is a potential threat. We know we've already been doing our job at JFrog to make sure that your software development is safe, secure, and compliant. But it's an never-ending battle. I mean, our teams are constantly finding new and I hate to say it, exciting ways that hackers and bad people are trying to exploit nice common good developers and applications. So saying that, ML has its own is already fraught with its own set of issues as part of the supply chain, right? Compromised public data sets, model poisoning, and by the way, just so you know, we'll discuss a little bit the fact that you can proxy from Hugging Face these data sets also. Model dependencies, right? So these are the libraries that that come in or things that are called as part of it. Things like prompt injection, model extraction, data leakage, model style services attack, and platform vulnerabilities. And that's the thing is that we want to make sure that you have all these bases covered. And today we're going to focus specifically on one set, but and it's a very important set, and we're actually going to do a lot of hands-on work around that. So let's get started. You know what? I think we've done a quick overview. Everybody knows the things there. We're going to talk about various aspects behind it. And we're going to actually do a hands-on demonstration just to show you how we can do this. So first of all, we talk about model management. We'll use Artifactory as our registry and our dataset registry. All right, this is one thing you should keep in mind. Also, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to proxy models directly out of Hugging Face into Artifactory. We're going to use curation. I'm going to show you how curation works. Curation is like a firewall for your organization, or as I like to say, people talking about shift left. This is lefter than left. So in other words, it's a way to intercept the requests from a tool, a developer, or whatnot, pulling from a third-party externalized source. It's a way for you to go ahead and mitigate those risks where it matters most and also create an audit around it. We're also going to talk about model scanning as part of this too. You'll be able to see when I've actually deployed one of the models that I'm using. I'm going to show you how that looks and all the cool things you can do around that. Model distribution. We're not going to really touch upon this, but I want you to be aware that we actually have a distribution component, and we have a thing called RLM, Release Lifecycle Management, where you can actually, once this model is built and trained, you can go ahead and actually bundle it up and you have a way to have its own SDLC, including things like evidence. Evidence is a way to have like digital signatures, watermarks, approval processes, whatever you need as a way to ensure for compliance in some cases. And then lastly, we also have a runtime. So in other words, we won't talk about this either, but we do have the ability to also have security in a Kubernetes runtime space. So if you are deploying this, say, as a service independent of JFrog ML and you want to keep an eye on it, this will be a way for you to make sure the things you've deployed have no potential vulnerability, especially if they're running in production. So the things we're going to go over today is we're going to define a repository in Artifactory for Hugging Face to proxy. I actually have an account, and I'm going to use also my personal account for, in this case, I'm going to use my my API, my access token that I'm actually my access token I'm going to use to proxy this. So I can proxy models like I have one from Meta that I've been using for my LLM, and I had to sign up and request access to it. We're also going to go ahead and use the set me up instructions to actually connect my Hugging Face client on my local machine to it. I'm actually going to go ahead and search Hugging Face for a model to use. Then I'm going to go back to our package catalog. Our package catalog, I'll explain what that is as I'm utilizing it to show you what that's like. I'm actually going to go ahead and I have a small download app. It's 2 lines. It's actually basically 2 lines of code, but it's a way for me to show you how we can utilize it and download and how it's stored in Artifactory, and also to how the curation works and how we can go ahead and even label that for scanning. Then I'm going to go ahead and apply that same code. I've already done it. I'm just going to show you where I put it in to download the actual same model into a RAG app that I have. I'm going to do a quick build and deploy up into JFrog ML. That takes a little longer than this webinar, but I already have one deployed, and I'll show you how I've actually deployed it as a shadow where I'm testing CPU and GPU-based performance. I'm going to show you some of the testing tools that we have as a part of it. And then I have a quick testing app that I'm going to go ahead to show you how I'm utilizing the actual service itself. And I'm going to check the results. So let's go ahead. So let's start off first of all. This is the standard model management. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go set up a remote repository for me to use inside of Artifactory. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and log into my instance really quick. I've got to authenticate. You love my Apple Watch authentication. Not going to lie, being able to do that for being able to log in is a very nice thing. And as you see here, I'm in the JFrog platform. I'm going to go to administration. I'm going to go to repositories. Now, if you need an explanation on what our repository structures are, I'll just do a quick overview. Local repositories are the repositories where you store your stuff, the things you create. These are your repositories. We have over 34 different package types, just so you're aware, including a local Hugging Face repository, which I'm actually going to go ahead and define right now. I'm going to say here, test. I'm going to say webinar. I'm going to say HF, and I'm going to say local. So this is actually a repository that if I do a build and I want to upload a version of a model, this is actually where I would upload the version. And one thing that I'm going to go do is, as part of this, is I am going to go ahead and I'm going to enable indexing in X-ray. What this does is this provides visibility of this repository to our JFrog security product. So let's go ahead and create that. So now if I want to upload a version, I now have a place to upload a version. Now, the third-party transitive dependencies are proxied through Artifactory, and one of the best reasons for this is say you have 1,000 developers developing an LLM application, right? Some sort of RAG app or something like that. And say developer 0 brings down a model out of Hugging Face. That means 999 other developers will be able to utilize the same one. It acts as a lazy proxy. So let's go ahead in here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, here's my remote. I am actually going to go ahead and create a new remote repository, and I'm going to choose Hugging Face in this case, and I'm going to call this one, I'm going to say test webinar HF, and I'm going to say remote. Now, in this case, I actually mentioned that I actually have an account with Hugging Face. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get my username. Now, I already know my username. I am not going to go ahead and show you, but I mean, I can show you right here. This is me right here, my little frog. That's me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my access token that I created. So I was actually able to go into my service and create an access token. And in this case, I'm going to plug my access token in. I'm going to hit test and see if I connected. And look at that. I've connected directly to the actual instance itself. And now I can go ahead. I can use this to actually proxy. But one more thing. I want to make sure I enable indexing in X-ray so that it's aware, so that once again, JFrog security is aware that I'm utilizing this. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to create my remote repo. And now I have it. So now, if I go back here, I'm able to go ahead and proxy a request from JFrog out to Hugging Face from my client, no matter what it is. And I can go ahead and I can publish and fine tune it if I would like. Now, let's go take a look at what that looks like, right? So first of all, let me go in. I'm going to go back to the platform. I'm going to go into Artifactory right here. And I'm going to type test, and I'm going to say webinar, right? Because those are the ones I created. Here's my local, and here's my remote. So to use my remote repository to proxy these requests is pretty straightforward. All I do is I select it here. I'm going to go ahead, and we have a little thing that says set me up. Now with set me up, by the way, just to show you, there's nothing in this repository right now. So I click on Set Me Up. I put in my information for my account. So here we go. Hold on once again, double click. And I'm going to generate a token for my instance. And we tell you what you need to do. So in this case, I have some information. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and export some information where I'm going to say, here's my timeout, here's my download time, and I'm going to point it to my Artifactory instance. And I also, if I want to use this also to do the client, I actually have my token right here. So let's do this for a minute. I'm going to go over to my IDE, and I'm going to show you. Got anything you want to fill in while I'm doing this?
No, I think that what we're doing is it might look cumbersome, but once you set up everything, it's very, very simple and it's very robust, especially when you work with a lot of developers across your organization. Bill just mentioned it, but one good thing about Artifactory that it never duplicates models. So let's say you even download this, use the same model in multiple repos, it will just point to it. So you don't duplicate a 100 gigabyte model. It just stored once in Artifactory and you can use it multiple places.
Exactly. So here it is right here. I've created a quick just download app. It's just a simple Python app that I'm just connecting to Hugging Face Hub. I'm going to grab my snapshot. In this case, I'm going to do my my repo ID, which happens to be, I'm going to grab I'm actually going to go ahead and grab a model in a minute. But let's go ahead. I'm going to grab that set me up instructions. I'm just going to copy. I'm going to paste. I didn't want to do it there. That's where I wanted to do it. I'm going to paste it right here. Now I've added my the actual information I need. Let's go ahead and I'm going to export also my token. So if I show you, I can actually right now what I've done is I've actually gone ahead and I configured some environmental variables to do this. And now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just download this, right? So if I go ahead and just do Python download, but before I do that, actually, I want to do a smaller model. I realize this is quite a substantial model. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to switch screens for a second just to show you. Let's go in and let's go ahead and just grab one. Now, I know this one is completely wrong and nefarious, but let's go ahead and, you know what, let's just grab it anyway, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a terribly bad model just to show you. So let's go ahead and let's switch back. I'm going to go back into my code. In this case, let's go ahead and share that. And if I look here, I'm going to go ahead and change the name of the model that I want to do. There we go. I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to hit my download. And this should actually go ahead now. It's going to go ahead and fetch all the actual model itself. And it's downloading it. Now, this is just a simple test, right? So this might take a little while. It is actually maybe a little bigger than I expected. It is a actual model that may take a little while to load. But in the meantime, that this is actually downloading, let me go back and show you the fact that I'm able to go in and see inside of Artifactory the fact that I am currently, if I go back here and I take a look and I hit a refresh, you can actually see now I've actually downloaded a model. Here it is right here. Here's my pickle scan Gordon Ramsay 2. So there it is. I've actually gone ahead and we just proxied the model. Now, if I want to pull this again, if I actually want to go ahead and pull it down, all I need to do is actually the way I did it before. I just went in and I just used all the standard snapshot information that I have here. And if I want to resolve a data set for this, all I need to do is actually put the data set name. I can put the repo type, and I can do that also. So this allows me also to download data sets if I'd like to. So this is one way for you to do that. It's very simple. Like as Guy said, doesn't take a lot to set up. But once you set this up, you actually now have a simple way to do this. Let's go to the next part of this because this is now going to get interesting. So now let's talk about the fact that I should have actually gone ahead and searched for the actual one that I just showed you. Now, the thing is that I know that inside of here, I actually have the information. But what if I'm not paying attention? What if I'm not paying attention? Or I want to search from inside of my own environment. Well, I could do that. So we have this thing called package catalog. Now, package catalog, we've actually gone ahead And we've actually scanned, in this case, 2.1 million plus models in Hugging Face. By the way, too, we've also done things around Python, so 670,000, NPM 5 million, you name it. And as you can see here, I've actually searched for this one before, and I would have known right from the get-go that if I had done a search on this, that it actually does contain a malicious package. So I can search here because we have knowledge on the fact that this does. And this is actually prompting me to say, you know what, you should actually probably go ahead and block this request because it has something malicious. As you can see, we also, because we are CNA, we include a lot of information behind it, including references on what this means. So the thing is that let's talk about this little suggestion here, curation. Curation is one of my favorite products. So curation takes the information that we have stored inside of this catalog, and it allows you to go in and write rules and policies to intercept the request from third-party solutions, including things such as NPM, Maven, PyPy, and Hugging Face. This acts as a firewall for your organization. So let's go take a look at that. So now, if I go ahead and I take this and it says, we should go ahead and create a curation policy. Well, let's go ahead and look at policies and curation. I can click here, or I can just go right here and go to policies. Now, as you can see, as part of this, I have a series of curation policies defined. And in this case, I'm going ahead and looking for Python and some Hugging Face. So now the thing is that when you create a policy, you create a rule on what you want to do. You want to do an action, right? So in other words, you want to make sure you block something. You want to do it by a specific repository type. So actually, you know what? Let's follow the suggestions instead. Let me go back for a second. And we're going to use that same example just to show you. So let's go ahead and create a policy. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to create a policy. And I'm going to call this one, says block, Ramsey, right? I'm just going to call it that for a name, right? This is going to complain. I'm going to say specific repository or package type. So I'm actually going to go in here and select my repository type. I can do the JFrog ML, which is this one here, or Python. Or you know what? Actually, in this case, I'm going to do a specific repository. And the reason why I'm going to do a specific repository in this case is that I want to make sure that I block whatever I'm doing, or I can actually also say I want to enable this for all repos. Well, let's just do a specific package type. Why not? Let's just do Hugging Face. There we go. Now, I want to go ahead and say, what do I want to do? Well, I want to block it because it has a malicious package. And I'm going to hit next. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and say, do I want to go ahead and create a waiver? Meaning, do I want to go ahead and do I want to have exceptions around this? But I'm not going to in this case. In this case, I'm actually going to block the actual package itself from being ingested into my environment. I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to save the policy. So now I actually have, block Ramsey. So what does that mean? Well, if I go ahead and I want to make sure, you can actually see the fact that, with this rule, that I should now, if I try to pull it in, let me see if this will work. I might have forgotten to enable something. So like I said, the problems with live demos, let's go ahead and do this. And in this case, let's do a quick clear. I guess type today. And let's try this again. And actually, it's already been cached, so I probably should have done something else. That's okay. But this should block that repository itself. Actually, if I pick a different one, I actually know of another potentially.
I just wanna help the audience understand. So curation basically blocks anything coming to the JFrog remote proxy. So it blocks it when it comes from the outside world, let's say inside. When it's inside, there are different types of policies you can define. But in that case, Bill already downloaded the file. So we couldn't block it from coming in, but rather it found it when it already was stored in the repo.
Correct. And that's the problem. So if I actually went with a different one, I would actually be able to go ahead and show you more precisely. So let's go back here, though, for a second. But I will show you the fact that even when I did request this for another reason, you can actually see that we have some sort of auditing that we've already done. So I can actually show you if anything has actually been monitored in this case. You can also see under dry run that I actually went ahead and I've actually downloaded a bunch of other ones too. I can actually find out who has been requesting what kind of repositories that we have. What sort of models or any sort of third-party transitive dependencies that have been ingested. And you can actually go ahead if something is blocked. In this case, I'm just doing dry runs, and these have been approved. That you can actually see where we've actually gone ahead and blocked a majority of these actual components. So now, if when I go ahead and I look at this, instead of having just a direct interface right to Hugging Face, now I've actually got rules and policies that I can set up. Now that I can go ahead and audit and even go ahead, if I don't want to block them, I can at least monitor the things that are coming in. Now, another thing, actually, what the thing is that, just so you're aware, if you get some actions like this, I want to show you that under your curation settings, you can see here where we have curated repositories, and you can see that I actually need to go ahead and enable these right here. And now if I enable these and I try it again, that was my mistake. I forgot to go in here and actually enable it in curation. Now, if I go back in, you got a live demos for this case, right? These are actually some of the things that I love doing. And with the live demo, you can actually, have the ability to admit your mistakes, right? So, hold on, I'm bringing something up. I'm getting a.
We're with you, Bill.
There we go. There we go. Now, if I decide to go ahead and pull any sort of audit in here, and I say, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and pick a different model. Let me just go in here and grab a model just for fun. Here. No, let's do something smaller than that. I know that for a fact. That's a monster model. I've made that. Here, let's just go grab some random model, right? And now that I've copied that, let's go ahead and switch screens.
It's also going to be very large. You can try BERT maybe. This is 32 billion parameters. It's going to be very large.
Oh, yeah. So let's see.
Maybe BERT. Yeah. BERT
Here.
Chinese, BERT Turkish, whatever. Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, let's do Chinese. Why not? Here, let's go grab that one. Perfect. So let's go ahead and let's go over to my model here. Let's go back to my code, right? Let's go ahead and let's try this one. There we go. Let's save it, and let's try downloading this one here. There we go. Now it's starting to download. Okay, it's not so bad. Let's let it do its thing. So now that there's no reason to watch it, letting paint dry, but we're going ahead and we're pulling it in. This might take sure. It's not so big, but it's going to take a few minutes. I don't feel like watching it. I don't know about you, but let's go back in and let's go ahead and look at our instance. And if I go to policies and I go back to audit, we should be able to see, here it is right here, no policy violations at this time. So there you go. So now I can audit to show you that it's actually coming in, and I can actually see who actually did the request. And as you can see here, there's really, here they go. Here's the other part of the audit. You can see that it's actually part of the allowed list. It means that we can go ahead and utilize it. So nice and easy. The last piece that I also want to talk about is that we're going to go ahead. I'm going to add the same code, by the way, and also show you that I'm going to go ahead and actually upload a model version. So now that I have this here, let's go overhead, and I'm going to go ahead and go to JFrog ML, and I'm going to show you an example. So let me go back into my IDE, because that's always fun to go back in here. And in this case, I'm going to show you a model. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch my instance information here. So let me do a quick clear. And before I do that, I'm actually going to copy this little guy right here because I'm not sure. There we go. And I'm just going to show you that I've actually implemented the same thing where I've actually defined my model. I've actually already have my secrets. I'm actually storing secrets inside of the JFrog ML product. We could always talk about that. I'll show you where that is. But I'm actually going to go ahead and do a snapshot download of the actual meta one I'm using for my LLM. And once I've actually just made a simple code change, that's it. That same code I showed you before, I just implemented it into mine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build this actual model itself. And I'm going to deploy this up into JFrog ML. So here we go right here. Right now it's packaging up, it's serializing. It's going to shove this up into JFrog ML for me to start utilizing. We're going to switch back. I wish there was an easy way for me to switch back and forth. But I'm going to show you as part of this that I can go into my models. Here's my LLM, BLM. I know that's me. And if I go to builds, you can see where I just took the model. Here it is right here. I'm actually uploading an instance that I want to utilize for my testing. But I've already gone ahead and done this numerous times. And I'll just show you that this is actually the build that I deployed previously. And if I take a look in here, this is where we've taken that model code, the data, all the information, we've wrapped it, we've serialized it. We're actually shoving this into JFrog ML, process it, creating a serving artifact so we can deploy. We have lots of other information around this. You can see actually, here's the code that I utilized for it. And once again, you can see where I'm actually going ahead and I have all the code that I just showed you that I had in my IGE. This one has actually been, I actually haven't, this one was just recently uploaded, but I have some other ones I'll just show you that I've actually scanned before with our JFrog X-ray product. Oops, I want to deploy. I actually wanted to select here. I think I need to plug my, trackpad in. I think the battery's dying. But if I click in here, you can see where actually we've gone ahead and we've scanned the actual model itself. Here is my LLM model. Here's the actual build version number. You can see where I've actually found 100 vulnerabilities inside. Just so you know, this number shouldn't be that scary. We actually have a thing called advanced security where we can help filter out the actual CVEs that are affecting you cells. If you look here, 100 vulnerabilities, but out of those 100 vulnerabilities, I only have about 17 vulnerabilities that apply to me. There's a whole another section. We're also looking for malicious packages, secrets, services, service and application level exposures. We actually tell you where the vulnerability is and how to fix it, but that's a whole nother discussion. But just let you know, your models are being protected by our products. Now, when we go back, go ahead.
I just wanted to add one thing, is that we look at vulnerabilities in two ways. You have all the packages that are installed in a Docker image, you have the Docker image, and you have the model itself. So just bear in mind that when you're running a Hugging Face model in the container, at the end of the day, as I'm joking, it's just a file running Python code in a Docker container. But it divides into model vulnerabilities, Python vulnerabilities, and the Docker image itself. And we cover all these.
That's correct, and which is awesome, right? And that's the thing is, we want our customers to know that they're safe, secure, and compliant. Now, just so you know, I've previously actually taken 2 of these builds and I've deployed them. I actually have one as a primary deployment. I also have one as a shadow deployment, so I'm actually splitting my traffic. The way I achieve that is that any model you have and you want to deploy it, like we've discussed in other, the other discussions we've had. If you look here, you can do GPU or CPU-based deployments for testing the model. You can do a shadow. You can do advanced traffic splitting between models. You can have auto scale. There's a whole webinar based on that, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. Just so you know, if I go back here, I can just show you that I actually have the model being deployed as a GPU-based and a GPU-based right here and a CPU-based itself. I can go ahead and wait for this to build and deploy it if I want. I can show you, this deployment history over time and show you what's currently deployed and, that there was a faulty one that I tried to deploy earlier. We have analytics on this model too, if I want to go ahead and just do a, quick snapshot of information. You can see which variation things were coming from. Here's the ideas of being able to go ahead and do some sort of monitoring if you're doing drift on certain data types and all that. You can see how, in this case, it's a prompt, so there's really no distribution amongst the features in this case. But I want to go back here for a minute, because one of the things I want to show you is that I can actually even go ahead if I wanted to and compare, right? If I want to get a variance on this, we've talked about it before, being able to actually do a diff between two models, even down to the code. And then the other thing too is if I want to test this just to see if it's working, I can even click on test model, and I can go here and say, what is the capital of I don't know, California. And I just want to make sure that my model's working. So this will be using the primary model itself. So this is going to go ahead and query based on that. It should return in a minute. Hopefully it returns in a minute. There we go. Perfect, right? So let me know it's Sacramento, which is correct. It always screws people up. And just, I live in San Jose, California. It used to be the capital long ago of California. But the thing is that this is it, right? This is actually a nice way to test. We even include information on how to test it with Python, Java, and Go. And as I stated before, this is actually a live service. Well, I actually have a application that I'm going to go ahead and launch right now. I'm not going to, you don't need to see me launch it, but I will launch it right now. Hold on, you're going to see it magically pop up. It's actually using, just so you know, it's actually just using Stream. It's just using Streamlit for this. Here we go. As you can see. And I can go ahead here and I can say, let's try that again. Let's just say, what is, of Utah? Why not? Why not Utah? And this is actually going ahead, and it actually is connected to my model that I actually have running currently right now. It's going to do some thinking. And if we go back in here and we look at my model, you can see here that it is active. You can see that, here's the actual number of throughput. Here's the error percentage, my mean response. You can see throughput over time. I can even let you know if things are, the percentages of latency. If I was to do that, you can actually see where, the data is coming in as we speak. GPU and memory utilizations around that. And if we go back to my app, you can see that it actually went ahead and it responded back. This is actually just a simple test that I put together, but I just wanted to show you that I'm utilizing this. I'm utilizing the model that I downloaded out of the meta model I downloaded out of Hugging Face. I can go ahead and write protections around it so that I know it's safe and secure and compliant. I can have policy rules. I can see who's bringing in what. I even started talking about the Python packages. But the fact is that I have this information here. And then if, say, I do want to go ahead and actually upload a version, after I've tuned it and things like that, you can see here's my local one. And to deploy it, you just go to set me up instructions once again. And this will allow you to go ahead and upload versions of that model. So this is where you can go ahead. You would use our JFrog ML product. And if you go here, this will allow you to upload the model you have into the actual location where you want to store it. We actually gave a whole demo on this already in a previous session, but I can just show you that I actually have some of these local models already saved. So if I just do this, I actually have I believe it's right here, or is it oh, maybe it's not in this one. I have it in a different one. That's okay. But anything you would like to add?
So I think that a lot of the things you're saying is, how do I control what I use? How do I control models? How do I control versions? How do I kind of figure out what I have and what I don't? And I'm going to give a hint. It's going to be coming soon, actually. But we're launching actually a new product that's going to be tackling exactly this. So all the kind of complex steps that Bill just took right now, we want to streamline everything. We want to allow you guys to choose which models you want to use, which ones you don't, both the models that you have outside and inside, run them and have everything smooth, because we want everyone to have the ability to control which models go into the organization. If you look at Hugging Face, you have 2 million models, and it's very difficult to understand what you could and what you could not use. So we're really kind of focusing on this and complementing it with easy infrastructure. So you don't have to kind of go and nudge your infra teams. you can use the platform itself to use whatever things you need for experimentation for your applications, and then also to go to production.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Guy. Well, hey, everybody. I just want to say thank you very much for joining. I think that's actually a good wrap. So just to let you know, I was able to do it pretty quickly. I was able to test it. I was able to go in and see if there's any compliance issues. I could even write more policies and become more stringent. But if you'd like more information, if you're new, please reach out to us. There's you can actually sign up for a quick trial if you just go over to actually jfrog.com. If you go in here, you can just sign up for a free trial. If you're an existing customer, all you need to do is contact your rep, and we can set up a time to go into some more in-depth discussions on this. But just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for your time. Be safe, be wonderful, be well, everyone. And we will be keeping an eye out for also for some of our events coming up, where you might want to come and join us. So please go to our site there too and see where we're going to be in the town around you, or maybe we'll see one of the major ones coming up soon. Guy, I want to thank you. As a pleasure as always being here with you. It always makes me happy.
Thank you, Bo. It's been great. And see you next time.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Be safe, rock on, and be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers, everyone.